Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching the world. My name is Sean Driver, and we're back with the Who Are You series. It has been a minute. It feels like a long time. 1 week in between games. Way too long, but Morecambe FC, I'm going to end up saying the R, and I'm going to end up being told I mispronounced it. I'm sorry. It's the North American accent, and I'm not getting rid of it. It's just not happening. So, question is from Morecambe. Let's get into it. The road to 1,000 subscribers is still going on, and you have the chance to help push it over the line. I've threatened to show some leg. It didn't really get many hits. Maybe that means I'm supposed to show some leg. You can avoid all that. You can just hit the subscribe button. If you stay along with the discussion here, and if you end up liking what I'm talking about, then do it then. Anyways, Morecambe FC, the Shrimps, location Morecambe, Lancashire, England, population 34,768, and the stadium, the Mazuma Mobile Stadium, opened just in 2010. Capacity 6,476, and that's 2,173 seated. Their average attendance so far this year, 3,996. That's 15th overall in League Two. Distance away from the racecourse, 97.4 miles. That's 157 kilometers, and that's a drive time of 1 hour and 50 minutes. And the turnover, actually, we were able to figure that out from Company's House for the first time in a while. 6,418,991 quid. That's from Company's House. They've got some inflated turnover due to a couple of insurance claims, which I don't think actually counts as turnover under regulations. It's supposed to be football fortune, but I could be wrong there. It has resulted in a call for the club to be sold. That could be good news. It could be bad news. But there's some concern about the financial health, given that the current owner's bond have been requesting some of the monies, £2.5 million last year, to be repaid to them. We'll see how things go. Their history. Morecambe, a relative newcomer in that they were formed in 1920. You consider the history of the football clubs that are in the EFL and up. They've got birth dates going back into the 1800s, but played in the Lancashire League until 1968. Then 5 of the clubs ended up moving into the Northern Premier League. They were promoted into the National League in 95-96, promoted into League 2 in 06-07, promoted into League 1 in 2020-21, and then they had 2 seasons. Last season ended up getting relegated. As far as their honors, no real major trophies. They do have the FA trophy from 73-74, different than it is now, mostly an amateur tournament at that point in time, but they were able to take it home. Taking a look at their kit, it's red and white, home standard, consistent throughout the years. It's been exactly that, and then their away jerseys have been just a cornucopia of colors over the time. Black, red, white, blue, you name a color, it's probably been covered. This year, white with sort of a painted swirl sleeve thing, and if you go back and you look at their 07-08 jerseys, when Jang Painting was their sponsor, it kind of looks similar to that, so a bit of a throwback. I don't mind it. The red keeps in brand, the white something familiar. I kind of like that. Bookie odds had them pegged as being 22nd, so just avoiding relegation. They're doing a lot better than that. Performance, 6 wins, 7 draws, 4 losses. That's 27 points in 9th place. As to their performance in other competitions, in the FA Cup, they're into the second round. They had a first round win over League 1 Lincoln City away, and now they're up against Wickham, the Wanderers, for the second round. So we'll see how that goes. They're on the road away again. EFL Cup, first round penalty loss to championship relegation favorites Rotherham while playing that one away. Not a lot of home cup magic for Morecambe. EFL Trophy, they're out as of the group stage with losses to Liverpool's U21 side and to Blackpool. So really they've got the FA Cup and League 2 to focus on, and away they go. As to the record for their last 5, 3 wins, 0 draws, 2 losses. They're on back-to-back losses, though. An away loss 3-2 to Grimsby Town, and that one a deserved result according to the analytics. They were essentially behind in all stats. Their momentum meter had it all towards Grimsby Town's favor, except for about the 80th minute they started to put some pressure on. They were equal in possession, but all of the other stats they were falling apart on. So that was probably a deserved loss, and just whether that's a bitter pill or just inconsistency of youth, that just didn't have it for that one. Before that, a 1-0 away loss to Barrow. That was an expected result, but it was close. Here's the thing. Not a single shot on target for Morecambe in that entire game. 90 minutes plus, not a single shot. And I know what you're thinking, stormtrooper-like aim maybe, lots of shots being splattered about and just missing. Nope, that wasn't the case either. Just 3 shots total towards the target, none of them missing. So it's really hard to win when you're not getting the shots. They had 274 passes, so they weren't really ramping it up there, but they did have a little bit more possession, which makes me wonder what the hell was going on and what they were doing, just standing over ball and running around in circles. It's an odd one to look at analytically, but in any event, they didn't take it home. Prior to that, they were on a roll. They had a 4-1 win over a well-traveled Wimbledon team that had to come up and visit them. The win actually was expected, but the drubbing of 4-1 was not. They did outshoot them 23-10. They outpossessed them. They outpassed Wimbledon. They only had 4 big chances, and so they could have done a little bit better there. In any event, they were destined to win that if you just count the stats and not the game on the pitch. It just shouldn't have been 4-1. It could have been a little bit closer, but those games are going to happen. But prior to that, a 1-0 win against struggling Tranmere. Probably a deserved result, but it was pretty close there. They were essentially tied in possession. They had a bit more shots and a little tiny bit more passing. To be fair, it was close right down to really, except for the first 12 minutes. And the difference was an own goal. And so they took the win there, snuck that one from the clutches maybe a little bit, but those wins are going to happen. Then the 5 games ago, a 3-2 away win over Sutton United. Only 155 passes and 9 shots. Sounds like a little bit of a snooze fest. And still, when you get low shots and you get low passes and you don't really appear to be a long ball, hoofball team, I gotta wonder what this team is actually going to look like on the pitch, because nothing speaks to me from these statistics as to what to expect. Other than shots on target, they didn't win a single stat. Sort of surprised that they did win this one against Sutton United, and the metrics say they shouldn't, but it is what it is. So all right then, let's look at the season statistics between the two clubs. Draw your attention to the middle part of the graphic where it's got possession as well as the accuracy stats. And as you'd anticipate with a younger club, the issue that Morecambe has is with respect to their accuracy statistics. Possession, 48.8 puts us in the middle of the league for possession. For them, 41.5%. That's 23rd out of 24 teams. Then you go through the accuracy as to a question why. Well, there's probably a lot of ball given away. Accuracy when it comes to passes, 12th place versus 22nd place. Accuracy when it comes to crosses. And again, remembering what I'm going to go over below when we look at the players, is there's an issue with respect to aerials. Where I suggest they're weak in their back line on aerial attacks. And this is an area that we can exploit. 6.8 accurate crosses per match. That puts us first. For them, 3.3, 22nd. Accuracy in long balls per match, 32.4 for Wrexham. That's 5th. And for Morecambe, 21.4. That's last overall. Shots on target, not that far apart, I guess. 1.8 per game and per 90 minutes. That's us second, them 15th. Our efficiency, goals per shots on target, identical, 30% each. That ties us tied at 11th. So that's where you get the difference. The save percentage, again, I don't know what to take from that, because we obviously had a rough start to the start of the season with our goaltending. We've got Ogonkwo, who's near the top of the league with his save percentage, but just hasn't made up the difference for what happened before. But they do have very strong goaltending, which we will see on display, I anticipate, on Saturday. So what do the season statistics tell us? Well, they're going to keep ball at feet a lot. They're going to struggle if they're pressured and need to call on their accuracy to move the ball forward. But they're going to be good in goal, which is necessary, because I expect that there's going to be a lot of aerial attacks, and hope that there is going forward. They have a lot of leg and a lot of energy, a lot of spunk, and a lot of desire to knock off the giants that have become Wrexham. We will see what happens. As to their forwards, Michael Mellor, 19 years of age. He's a Burnley loan, 1,282 minutes played. Look, his stats are solid. 96th percentile in shots, 93rd percentile in goals. He's really the guy up front for them. They're getting offense from really one other source, but he up front is the connection piece. You look at his stats, they're all in the green. He's ratcheting it up, and rather impressive. They typically run a formation with just one person forward. If they do go to 2, the other center forward that you could go with, who sometimes plays just in a little bit in behind, is Tom Bloxom, 20 years of age, 1,176 minutes. He's from Shrewsbury Town on loan. He's not really a scorer, and he hasn't got a goal. He does have 3 assists. It almost appears to me like he's a bit of a poacher, hawk around the ball. Pass accuracy and successful passes aren't really there, so you don't think he's passing it back along to clear and not really pushing a lot of successful ball in. But he has created 20 chances, so you say, well, how does that happen? He's not pushing the ball and he's got 20 chances. Well, take a look at his tackles won and his duels won, and I think he's 90th percentile in recoveries, 85th percentile in duels won. I think he's good at nicking the ball, and that's just something to be aware of as I'm smashing things in my house. Now, just take a look at Bloxom stats one more time, and I'm going to end up showing you Ollie Palmer in a second here. I will say Bloxom is doing slightly better, maybe more comparable to Mullen and Dalby with respect to his control, his defensive ability, his ability to nick the ball. Slightly better than them, but it's close, but nowhere near Palmer. Have a look at these numbers, and I don't even have to read off the percentiles. They're all in green, and that's sort of the difference between what you'd expect up front. There is just the young guy learning his trade, where Ollie's got some experience, but definitely has some raw ability, it looks like, compared to others. In the midfield, Mckernan, 21, another young guy, 1,300 minutes so far, 5 goals. He was on a free from Watford, and even though he's in the midfield, he's playing forward enough that he's contributing. He's got 5 goals, and you take a look at his shots on target. He's solid all the way through, so I expect him to be in the mix with Mellon throughout the course of this game. Also in the midfield, Eli King, another young guy, 948 minutes. He's a loan from Cardiff City. He returned last match after he had 4 games away, and I believe that's as a consequence of injury, but not 100% certain. Not really outstanding statistically. I looked at his passing stats; they were low. So then I went and looked at his defensive stats. He's listed as a midfielder, defensive midfielder. Nothing really pops. In fact, you take a look at his percentage ones for tackles and duels, and he's at 13th percentile and 28th percentile respectively. So a little bit confused as to why Mr. King has 948 minutes, but he's certainly ratcheting up, and he's an expected player in the Morecambe midfield. After that, you've got Adam Mayer, 18 years of age, 921 minutes. He's back after a break. He's been up and down this year. I think maybe just young. He's had 47 games with Morecambe. Prior to that, he bounced around with Preston North End and also with the Everton U21s. But he's so young at 18, there's no stats that I can pull up and draw as a comparison. Just while I bring it up, I'm going to bring back the Eli King number just to give you an idea as to Gorgeous George Evans, our defensive midfielder, 54th percentile in tackles, 75th percentile in duels won. And so a little bit young and questionable in the midfield, which is why I think O'Connor, Lee, and Evans defensively, Luke Young for service and control, but that would probably be my preference just based on what I'm seeing on paper here with the statistics. As to the defenders, Joel Senior, here's the KG veteran, 35 years of age, and he started all the games, 1,318 minutes played. I kind of expected more from him as far as his defensive stats. He's playing on the left side and occasionally in the center. Usually when you end up with that back line, they have gobsmacking numbers when it comes to tackles or to aerial duels, and he's sitting 16th percentile in percentage duels won and 15th percentile in aerial duels won. That's not backline numbers, and completely shocking, and why I'm saying aerials should be the weapon. That's hint number 1. Next up on the list along the line, Jacob Badeau, center back, 23 years of age, 1,311 minutes. He started all but one, and his numbers are better but not great. He's in the 70th percentile range as far as his tackles won percentage. He's, as far as aerial duels won, he's in the 27th percentile. And so not what you expect from center back numbers again, but young guy applying his trade, certainly doing all right. Next up, James Conley, 22, only 516 minutes, but he's new to the club, well, relatively new, being a loan from Bristol late partway through the season. He joined week 6, then he was out for 3 matches. He's sort of just back, and so I don't have any stats for him because he's 22 and it's new, but I anticipate that's who you're going to see along the back line. And just as a comparison then, Having a look at Hayden's numbers then, what you'd expect, 44th percentile when it comes to dual percentage 1, sitting at 44%. And that's to be expected, I say, because we've had some struggles with our backs being run at, and Hayden's one of them. But 76th percentile in aerial duels, and that's where he excels, is in the air, and a reason why we may want to have him move forward into this one, and we can compare him. Look, the goaltenders, they had Stuart Moore, 29. It looks like he's out for another 12 to 14 weeks with an injury. He was pulled halfway through the Sutton United game, and I'm not sure exactly what the interest was there, or the injury potentially was there. 74.4% was his save percentage. They've gone out and brought back in, I guess, Adam Smith, 30 years of age, 405 minutes so far, filling in. 72.7% is his save percentage. That time in the video where we end up comparing Morecambe to a North American franchise, comparing them to a food, as well as looking as to what we can expect and a potential score prediction for what to expect. Look, it's a young team, and they have been a little bit hit or miss with some of their games. Statistically, it's difficult to draw any expectations out of what the game is going to look like. Not a lot of possession time, not so accurate with their play, but they are efficient when they're up front and they get opportunities. And so I expect this to be a game where we look good throughout, but we may be frustrated with the score. I do think that overall we will come away with a win. I'm going to call it a 2-0 win. I think Arthur's got it on lockdown for this one. I think the center backs with their aerial play will be able to handle it. We'll have to see what happens. But going with 2-0, comparing them to a North American franchise, look, you're going to go for a young team that's typically those that are rebuilding. In the NHL, that's the Anaheim Ducks at the moment, maybe the Ottawa Senators. In the NBA, always young, the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the NFL, well, contrary to what it was maybe 5 years ago, but the Green Bay Packers, you're looking as being a young team. That's sort of the vein. As to a food, we're going to go with a fresh fruit bowl. Young, fresh, easy to spoil. That's probably as good as I'm going to get. And hey, look, we're running the watch parties every game. I'm there doing my thing, chatting, giving a little bit of commentary. The chat runs up on the side, and so people are able to take part. We've got W&G adding the scores, Brendan with the analysis, Andrew with the history, John with the Howard promotion, and the control, making sure that we don't get too hard on the referees. We're definitely developing a personality in the watch party. If you have not had a chance, it is a fun way to take part in the game. Whether you're listening to me while I'm rambling on, whether it's just to take part in the chat, lots of fun. So join us. 42 countries have had residents stop by to take part in the watch party. It's definitely a lot of fun. I've also put out the poll where I've asked what sort of hors d'oeuvre video should I do next, and I talked about maybe it's policing costs, and it got a number of votes. I talked about the academy. The votes have been tabulated. I'm working on the academy stuff, and so gonna get that out. It is deep. It is heavy. Not a lot of information out there about academies, or if it is, not in the manner in which I think they should be canvassed and gone over. So taking a look at how does it affect the rosters, how does it affect the team financially, what are the objects and goals of academies, and why were they set up in the first place, and what do they look like compared to North America. So that's all being compiled together. It's probably going to take a little bit longer to put it all packaged up and put a bow on it and set it out there, but it's coming. Anyway, be there for Saturday, the Morecambe game. Join us for it. It's a ton of fun, and that's it. That's all. This is the Red Horde. Hope you enjoyed that one. We'll see you Saturday.